right, it is finally here. SummerSlam is this weekend, WWE's biggest party of the summer. And as somebody who doesn't get invited to a lot of parties, I guess that's why I like SummerSlam so much, because I get to feel social for a change, I guess, if you will. But I don't know if they still actually call it biggest party of the summer. That was a kind of one of those things they used to do with the graphics, with like John Cena jumping in the pool and them on the roller coasters. I've kind of lost that a little. But SummerSlam is this weekend from US Bank Stadium. Good news for WWE, though the ticket price thing really did a number. And it looks like it's gonna, it looks like it went from a part where on television it could look bad to on television, you're not gonna know the difference kind of thing. For the crowd for this 39th edition of SummerSlam. And it's crazy because COVID took a lot of things from us in wrestling, but I think COVID can kind of be part of the reason why SummerSlam grew to be the secondary WrestleMania, if you will. Because if you remember SummerSlam 2019, I went to it in Toronto, in an arena, and it was advertised to be in Boston in an arena the following year before, everything shut down with COVID. And the first SummerSlam outside of the one in England in the 90s, that was in a stadium that started this trend of it being the WrestleMania-esque kind of show was SummerSlam 2021 when WWE returned to live audiences. They went to Las Vegas. They put 50,000 people in the stadium, and they really gave it the WrestleMania treatment because, well, WrestleMania the year before and the year of 2021 didn't necessarily get the WrestleMania treatment. And then since then, it's been a great show. And again, regardless of ticket sales and nonsense, that was talked for before. I think SummerSlam looks like it's going to be a fun card. I don't want to say a great card in the, the Dave Meltzer category of the world. I'm just saying a fun card because, really at the end of the day, it looks like a great card. 2 nights, 6 matches each. Kind of an earlier start time, 6 o'clock. So I'm not guessing more than too lengthy of a show on either night. We'll start off by saying with SummerSlam from Minnesota, the second 2-night ever SummerSlam this weekend. Which night, just off the top, which night are you looking forward to most?
Night one. I think night one's the better show. Just from top to bottom, I think you got CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, on that show. Obafemi, Brock Lesnar. I'm really looking forward to Gunther and Nick Aldis. Like I'm so interested to see what happens there. And obviously you got LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Royce Keys versus the Bloodline. Like that, and don't forget Liv Morgan, Io Sky. Like this entire card from top to bottom on night one, I think it's pretty good. The only match I would kind of say is, to me, maybe a throwaway match is the Bella Twins versus Fatal Influence. But 5 out of 6 matches are pretty darn good. I really think night one's the better one, not by a lot, because I think night two is going to be pretty good too. But I have to give the slight edge to night one. What say you on that?
I think the issue is I think night 2 looks better, but
Okay.
they don't have I feel like I'm really into the 3 big matches on night 1, talking about Oba, talking about Punk, talking about Gunther, right? But then you got these and I think I can understand why you got these 6-man tag matches that we talk about filling out a 2-night card. Do we need those kind of matches, especially in the Bella Twins versus with Paige and Fatal Influence? Yeah, I mean, we just saw the tag title match on Saturday's main event. Now you're just going to pull out a 6-man tag without any belts on the line in that women's card. I think night 2 overall, it's less impressive when it comes to a headlining match, but I think I'm interested more there's a bathroom break on night 1. There isn't a bathroom break on night 2. That's all I'm saying. And I will have to say, when it comes to Gunther versus Nick Aldis, it's kind of funny. Somebody I work with said they're very curious about this match because they weren't familiar with Nick Aldis. I'm like, are you not familiar with who he was and who he is? I mean, recently I think YouTube they just uploaded probably I don't think out of coincidence, but Nick Aldis versus Cody Rhodes for the NWA title at All In. I mean, he's legit. And I think when it comes to facing Gunther, he's very legit. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Brock Lesnar, Obafemi, obviously looking forward to that. I do like Brock Lesnar, what he did this past week on Raw, because of the fact that they brought the Hell in a Cell out. And you're worrying, are we going to overexpose this Hell in a Cell too much? But the fact that Brock Lesnar didn't get in it saves a little bit of that for SummerSlam. You know what I mean? So we didn't have any physicality in the cell until until Saturday. So that I say. But I'll ask you another question, right? You obviously picked night one. We don't have this problem with WrestleMania. With WrestleMania, there hasn't been this problem. We've argued that there is no two-night WrestleMania in regards to, I think it's a continuation. But this case, we might have some questioning. What is like if this was a one-night show, what is your overall main event?
Overall main event would be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins.
Okay, so you are still picking what WWE says is the main event for this show.
Yeah, yeah, over. I mean, I can see why people would go with night two because that match is so, that match obviously carries a lot of weight. I just personally, I like night one slightly better. I think there's more juice in those 6 matches overall versus night two. But the moment that I'm looking forward to most is on night two. And that is hopefully Minnesota's own Chad Gable wins the championship, the Intercontinental Championship that has been eluding him forever. I hope he does it. I think he does it. That to me will be the moment of the weekend for me.
I see that we, in the women's ladder match, we've got Tiffany Stratton, who's the U.S. champion, so she won't be defending her belt. She's a Minnesota native as well. Jade Cargill, Chelsea Green, Charlotte Flair, and then either Julia or Last Legend, the last spot to be determined. Any big names missing from this? I mean, I'll tell you some big names missing from the SummerSlam card in general, like Becky Lynch, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley's out on injury and things like that, we know. But any healthy big names in the women's division you think you're kind of surprised are not involved here at SummerSlam?
Off the top of my head, not really, honestly.
I mean, not that you mean Nia Jax
Rhea's
involved.
hurt. Rhea's hurt. Raquel just won the title on the Go Home show, so I wouldn't expect to have her overexposed. I mean, maybe Roxanne. I mean, Roxanne's somebody that's,
I guess I was thinking more of the Alexa Bliss. I'm thinking more of the Raquel Rodriguez, like you said, than Nia Jax.
But Alexa Bliss has been nursing an injury. She did have that injury. Remember, I think it was her.
Yes, you are correct. You are correct. Okay.
So to me, I think that takes her out of the equation regardless.
And Bailey's healthy. Obviously, we saw the Bailey and Lyra Valkyria thing, right? That's still a thing. I mean, and Bailey's there, regardless of the rumors. She's fine.
The thing with Bailey is I come to expect this from Bailey, not because it's her, but I feel like it's WWE's fault that they're not doing something with Bailey. Mm-hmm. So and I've gotten to the point where I've kind of gotten numb to the fact that she's not on these shows anymore. And I get more surprised when she's on the shows because I feel like she should be on all these shows because she is that talented. But there's been the rumors and all that she's out the door or she's going to be out the door. I mean, you know who else is reportedly out the door in the women's division that we don't know if it's true or not because I don't think it's been confirmed. But Jordan Grace seems like she might be out the door, is what the
talk about
and Ilya Dragunov, who I'm a big fan of. I've heard he might be out the door as well.
Well, from the time that they reach the main roster, they should be as we move into SummerSlam. I mean, Jordana Grace. I know she technically wasn't on the main roster and things when she made her debut at the 2024 Royal Rumble, but it's been 2.5 years since then. You know what I mean? The fact that she, there's somebody in NXT or Fatal Influence, right? They're moving up the ranks quicker than she is. That's kind of an issue. They're not treating her like the China, like the special attraction as they should. They're not treating her like Jade Cargill, right? I think probably overall she's probably a better wrestler, and she has all the same ideas as Jade Cargill of being impressive. So I don't know why they don't really treat her better when it comes to that. And the
same thing with Ilya Dragunov. The rumors are true there. He's out the door. Ilya, to me, is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. I've been a super fan of his for a very long time. I'm curious, if that's another name that we haven't heard from or heard of in a while. That's another name that's, I know that we were talking women's, but on the men's side, that's a big name, that could be on this show, that should be on this show, but it's not on the show. It's disappointing.
Not talking about ESPN and the hour that they're probably going to have a free TV and that they're going to want to put a big match on and their free hour. I get that. So the main events and the big matches kind of get thrown around differently because of factoring in that free hour for ESPN to be on national TV. But this is pretending it's regular pay-per-view, pretending you're booking it regularly. No free hour, none of that stuff. Is Obafemi and Brock, is that your night one main event, or is Cody Rhodes and CM Punk?
It's still Cody Rhodes, CM Punk.
Okay.
I can't justify that change. Nothing against Brock and Oba because obviously I'm high on both of those guys. I do think that whole they're going to begin the night with that. I think that's what's going to happen. I feel like they're going to kick off the show with
Yeah,
Brock
and I think
Oba.
obviously, like I said, if the first hour's at free on ESPN, I guess that's crazy to think, though. I mean, you've been a wrestling fan for a long time. I've been a wrestling fan for a long time, right? And part of the things that got me into wrestling was kind of that idea that, like not suitable for television version of wrestling, right? And I remember hearing about Hell in a Cell when I was a kid before I ever saw it, the Mick Foley Undertaker one. And people, when I was just getting into wrestling, they were telling me about Hell in a Cell. And it sounded so 2 a.m., call this 1-800 number with your parents' credit card and like, don't tell your parents you got it kind of, scary, risky, kind of like that idea, Jerry Springer's World's Wildest, fights and police videos and all this kind of like, you shouldn't be watching this kind of thing, but that the edgy and the drama, that aspect of it, they're not sanitized. And Hell in a Cell always gave off that, right? When I watched Mick Foley and Undertaker and Hell in a Cell, it gave off this, like, how was this on television? This is so X-rated, if you will. And to see it now advance to it could be the free hour on ESPN for families to gather around and watch in at 6 o'clock on a Saturday, while the sun is shining all over the country. Is just such a weird thought to me. What makes you?
No, I get that, but you're talking about Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar is a name that attracts ESPN more than pretty much, I would say, pretty much the entire roster outside of maybe Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, to name a few. So I feel like that's the direction they go.
No, I get it. Even Brock Lesnar in UFC. When I started watching wrestling, UFC was allowed to be on television as long as next to cockfighting and dog fighting and nudity, right? UFC was looked at as, when they sold the tapes at the store, it wasn't even R-rated, it was X-rated. It was, your parent actually has to be the one renting this tape.
Yeah, it was like
you
TV,
say,
it was like TVMA.
it wasn't even like really allowed to be on television, when I was like getting into wrestling. It was, like one of those, they put UFC tapes right next to where they put like Faces of Death, live death autopsies caught on tape, Jerry Springer, Too Hot for TV, like all those miscellaneous, like, wildest police footage, police shootouts caught on tape, like that kind of like exploitation stuff. So to now know that Brock Lesnar, who got very famous in the UFC, on the mainstream, so UFC is mainstream. The UFC was just on the White House lawn, for goodness sake, and just to see that was just so jarring, right? To see where we've come in the world. So like Hell in a Cell, right? Because I remember back in the day, like it would be on pay-per-view and you'd hear Vince McMahon be like, Hell in a Cell. Like it would be just like blood curdling. And now it's like, hey, everybody, welcome to ESPN. Hope you just enjoyed the final round of the PGA Golf Championship you were just watching. We're about to tune in for Brock Lesnar and Obafemi inside Hell in a Cell. It's just crazy.
That's the world we live in now.
That's
man.
the world we live in.
You're not wrong. It is wild to think, because one of the craziest matches, and it's still, I can remember that match, and it's been almost 30 years, like it was yesterday. Was Mick Foley, Undertaker, 1998. They were in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I still hear good old JR saying, "Oh my God!" It's like, "My God, I think he's dead." Like when Mick Foley got thrown off the table, like it's a different world. But I just, what else you gonna put on in the first hour?
I understand. I'm just saying it from an old man's perspective here, about just the world we live in and how it's still getting.
You're going to put Gunther Aldis, are you? I don't think that's going to.
No.
Who the heck is Aldis?
I mean, I think we're at the point now. This entire program is sanitized. There's nothing too exclusive
You know
anymore.
what? You know what? I could see in that first hour. I could see Liv Morgan, Io Sky.
I
I
mean,
could see that in there.
true. I guess it's difficult because, women's wrestling, I guess, to advertise to the ESPN market, it gives off a little bit less of that athletic look that you're looking for. Because that's the thing about wrestling. It always gets, they're athletic. And I'm not saying Liv Morgan, Io Sky, they are athletic. But I guess with Brock Lesnar and Obafemi, the way that they look and the way that they appear makes you, even if
They don't
you're a
look
football
human.
only guy, take notice.
Yeah, no, you're not. That's what I mean. I realistically, I really think it's Brock and Oba to
Because
start the show.
even if you know WWE scripted, somebody who's not a WWE fan, if they're watching Brock Lesnar and Obafemi, know that if they're on their screen, there's some athletic style competition in front of them, whether it's scripted, whether it's wrestling, whatever. It's
or
not
or just a
Danhausen.
freak of nature like those two dudes.
Yes, it's people. It's people who look like, hey, regardless what you think about WWE, it looks like if you were to watch, if you watched UFC or you want, if WWE was real, that's the people that would make it real. That kind of thing. Like people have always said, there was that one thing Johnny Valen always said, and CM Punk holds to this day, and he said that you can think that wrestling is fake, but I'm going to make you believe I'm real. Like I'm real, and that's kind of the thing. Like you could say wrestling's fake, but I'm real. And that's what Brock Lesnar and Obafemi get off, like, when you see them on television. So I do see that. Kind of going over a little bit, just of the matches. We got Sami Zayn, Finn Balor for the number one contenders match. It's been a minute since we had a number one contender match, like on a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Normally
Two
they
great
just,
competitors.
it's great competitors. I'm glad that they found a way to get them on the card, right? But we have so many number one contender matches like already kind of built into the calendar with the Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, King of the Ring. So to have just a match that is just number one contender,
Please
it
push Finn. That's all I can say. Please push Finn. When I watched him qualify for this match, I was like, they're gonna somehow give it to somebody else and not Finn. And Finn won, and I was so excited because Finn, it's been 10 years, long overdue. Let's get him back in the main title picture for real, for real.
I'm a little surprised. We went to SmackDown not this past week, but the week before, and Baron Corbin wasn't involved at all, which is weird because he made his return at the week before that. So we had a Baron Corbin-less week. I didn't even realize that when we were at SmackDown that Baron Corbin had no involvement. But he is back in the WWE. He's on SmackDown. He's facing Trick Williams at SummerSlam for the U.S. title. So he's back on the card as well. We all know what's coming on Monday. We'll talk about that in just a second. But overall, I mean, wins and losses, surprises, champions. Who do you see here leaving with belts and any kind of major storylines coming out of this whole
I
show?
mean, I think Gunther's going to beat Nick Aldis. I think that's pretty much a given. I would be very shocked if Nick Aldis wins. So I think Gunther's definitely winning that match. I I mean the main storyline is Roman Reigns walks out as champion and finally beats Seth Rollins. I think that's pretty big. I think Chad Gable winning in his home state, his home city, Intercontinental Championship. That's going to be big. And then I think Trick's going to retain. I don't think they're going to put the title on Baron Corbin right out of the gate. I'd be surprised because I know you don't watch that WWE. What is the behind the scenes stuff, Untold or whatever it is?
Unreal.
Unreal. See, I can't even get it right. That's what I mean. See, but I still watch it. I just don't pay attention to the title. I just WWE. That's what I watch. They love Trick Williams so much that I just can't see them do anything to backpedal him unless they're gonna take the belt off him and move him up the ranks. Maybe that's what they do. But I still think Trick's gonna win. And then I still think Liv's gonna keep her title. I think she retains. I think honestly, I think Cody's gonna beat Punk. I think Cody's going to beat Punk, and then Obafemi is going to retire Brock Lesnar. There's your other big story.
All right, two years in a row on night one in the main event of SummerSlam, CM Punk is going to be leaving without the belt. Last year he won the belt very briefly, and then Seth Rollins cashed in and beat him. We don't have Money in the Bank this year because that's coming after, so it seems a little weird. We got no Money in the Bank holder right now. So yeah, CM Punk leaving night one of SummerSlam 2 years in a row without the belt. That could be interesting nonetheless. I'm kind of going to go on a shot here. I think in that six-man tag, someone's turning heel. My guess is it's LA Knight. It's time. We saw the Grayson Waller promo this past week. It's time for LA Knight to do the same thing on the main roster, if you ask me. I see Io Sky winning the belt. It's weird. Liv Morgan has defended 0 times since becoming the champion. And she's been a champion for about 100 days now. So that's a little strange. I do see Chad Gable winning. I don't see Tiffany Stratton winning in her hometown. I see Chelsea Green, another person who needs finally to get over that mountain. And she's been hand in hand there for a long time now. Chelsea Green is a great chance for her to not have to get the 1, 2, 3 on Jade Cargill and the other people, to sneak up that ladder as she tried with Money in the Bank, and to get it. If she doesn't get it, I see some silly spot where she thinks she's going to get it, and then she gets like beaten up worse than anybody else in this match.
Charlotte Flair's winning that match.
That could set up Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the overall championship in the future. Obviously, I see Danhausen winning. I think that's going to be an entertaining match. I'm very excited to see Dominic Mysterio and Danhausen. Not just because of Danhausen, but I think Dominic Mysterio is equally entertaining. So you got like the two most entertaining people in the WWE together. So like I said at the start of this, I think this is going to be a very fun match. The first SummerSlam in Minneapolis since 1999. I'm going to be wearing the 1999 SummerSlam t-shirt one of the days to SummerSlam. SummerSlam 99 saw Jesse Ventura making it so that Mick Foley had to win the belt over Triple H in the main event because as the governor of the state, he couldn't raise the hand of a heel, so Triple H had to then beat Mick Foley and become the champion the very next night. That was at the Target Center, so we talk about things growing and how things have changed. Obviously, SummerSlam was at the Target Center and probably just one of the many events to non-WWE fans to be at the Target Center. Didn't probably get any headlines at the time, but now it's a little bit bigger of a deal taking over Minnesota than last time. But yeah, 1999 SummerSlam. I have to say, weirdly enough, SummerSlam 1999, I don't want to say it's the worst SummerSlam of all time, but it's not a great SummerSlam, even though it's in the height of the Attitude Era, which is weird. There's a lot of horrible pay-per-views in the Attitude Era. We talk highly of the Attitude Era, but there's a lot of actual horrible pay-per-views during the Attitude Era. And it had like the only logo, like the SummerSlam 99 logo, like was not before it and not after it. And it also had like the worst set you could imagine. If you have a chance, Brandon, I'll give you a chance to go back and rewatch it. I know it very vividly. It had just the old like Attitude Era kind of entrance way where it just had like the name of the pay-per-view and they came out like that like steel tunnel. And then on the sides, they had a bunch of like cherry pickers. I don't know what that had to do with that. It was like a bunch of trucks, like, you know, like the line trucks with the cherry pickers. And they had like the cherry pickers like all lifted up, kind of creating an archway for the entranceway. I don't know what that had to do with SummerSlam. I don't know how that added to anything. It wasn't like a SummerSlam roadblock or SummerSlam construction zone or anything like that. I don't know what this, like having a bunch of like cherry pickers, like electrician tie-ins. I had no idea, but that was stupid. So it should be a good show overall. 39th SummerSlam. The first one that was ever announced to be 2 nights. It's crazy to think how fast 2 years can go by and how much fast. It's crazy. It seemed like when they were announcing this, like I said before on previous podcasts, right? We didn't know SummerSlam was going to be in Cleveland in 2024. We didn't know SummerSlam was going to be at MetLife Stadium in 2025 when they made this announcement, and it seemed so far away. We didn't even know WrestleMania was going to be in Vegas a second time. Didn't even know yet. I think we knew what was going to be in there first time, but like it was just so far long ago. But yet here we are. It's this weekend, and you're like, man, how did that just sneak up on us? It seemed like when you were making this announcement, it was 2026 was such a futuristic sounding date when they were telling us in January of like 2024. We just got to 2024 and you're telling us in 2026? Like, get out of here. Like, so far down the road. But here we are. Should be a fun show. Follow us on social media because maybe I'll be posting some stuff from Minneapolis along the way.